I didn't get a chance to talk about the case 3 entirely during my lecture. I mean, this chapter is very long and very challenging from a certain perspective, and definitely it's worth spending enough time. So let me start from slide 15 to talk about the weighted average. So I don't have to repeat the question at all. I guess you know where it's from. So basically, the company has 225 partially assembled units in WIP from February. That's the case 2 result. Then, in addition to 225, the company starts production of another 275 units. And therefore, there are about 500 units in total, and 400 units are completed transferred, only 100 units left. So, and also additionally, we have the following information. We have beginning WIP 225 units with 60% of completion, and there are some costs. And during the March, the DM cost and the conversion cost newly incurred was this much. So I'm not going to repeat those numbers. And we have 100 units left in WIP after March. Degree of completion is about 50%. All right, so then basically very naturally you have to deal with, okay, I have two possible methods to handle. Should I use a weighted average or FIFO? Okay, the question is about which one should I go with. So we're going to talk about a weighted average. Then the next video lecture will focus on FIFO and also give you the idea when we should apply FIFO or weighted average, which one's better, and any other issues we should consider when we make a decision. Okay, so basically the principle of the weighted average is we are going to look at all the costs, all the equivalent units of all work done to date, like a fresh start. So we're going to blend the leftover from the prior production, the unfinished units, to the basically new production. Okay, new production. So the equivalent units considered is going to be blended. You have the entire beginning WIP units completed and transferred and ending WIP. The cost under each cost category consider the entire beginning WIP cost and the newly incurred cost. And the unit cost under each cost category is going to be the total cost from the third bulletin point divided by the second bulletin point. So total cost and divided by total equivalent units. So that's kind of idea. So now next slides from 18 to 19, I'm going to use Excel worksheet to walk you through the details. Please be patient because this is not an easy subject. It is complicated. Mechanically, you will have a little bit of stress because it's not straightforward. We don't deal with that every day. However, when I look at all the mathematical calculations, it makes a lot of sense and it can be very smooth. So I'm going to show you how to handle that. So like what I did in class, I'm going to basically talk about, all right, so let's take a look at step 1 and step 2. Okay, so step 1 talk about physical units, and step 2 talks about equivalent units. And for step 2, I have to separate direct materials from what? Yeah, conversion costs. Okay, so I guess you see the something common. So now I'm going to work on step 1. So let me rephrase what we have here. So we have some leftover from the prior production. Then we have new production, and we have the costs that from the beginning WIP for DM and conversion. Now we have a newly incurred cost for DM and conversion. So the result is we have some units completed and transferred, and also we have some left over. We do have their percentage of completion. So that's what we have here. And we're going to apply weighted average. So basically we're going to ignore the beginning WIP. Well, not really ignore them. We just blend them with the new production. That's all we care. We don't care where they're from. And whether it's a new product or maybe unfinished product from the prior production, we don't care. We just mix them. So I'm going to show you that idea when we walk you through the steps. So first, I'm going to look at units to account for. So this is about the physical units. Okay, so step 1. So units to account for, I will have beginning inventory. Okay, so I will say beginning WIP. So how many units I have? Yes, 225 from the February. And also I have I'll call them new production. Okay, new production. For new production, I have 275 units. So the total physical units to account for, I have 500. It's pretty easy, right? Just add them, 500. All right, so 500 units. So next, you may wonder, okay, if that's the case, then units accounted for the two status. How to deal with that? So there are two actually results you can deal with. The first is the completed and the transferred. The second is ending WIP. And if you go back to the question, it's pretty simple to find these numbers. Okay, find these numbers. Okay, if you go back to the question, it says what? We have 400 units completed and transferred, and we have 100 units left, right? So my work will be, okay, I'm going to put a 400 here, then I have 100 there, and total physical units accounted for is 500. Okay, very smooth step one. For step two, okay, for step two, now we are going to deal with the step two. So how to find the answer for the step two? Okay, how to find the step two? So we're going to follow the principle and idea here. For step two, we want to find the equivalent units, and it's going to be blended. So we're going to include everything. We're going to include everything. So if I go back to the question, so we're going to focus on units accounted for the CNT and ending WIP. So once again, we have to separate the DM from conversion because you have two different costs. So for the DM, for the CNT, I'm going to have a 400 for sure, no doubt. And also for the conversion, I also have 400 because it doesn't matter what cost we're looking at when you deal with completed and transferred units, because they are 100% done regardless the cost. But for the ending WIP, that's how you see the difference. So the idea here is quite similar to the case 1 and case 2. So for the ending WIP, 100 units, physical units, are automatically 100 equivalent units in terms of DM, but not really the 100 conversion cost, because we don't have 100% completion for the conversion. If you go back to the question, we have about 50%. So I will multiply 100 by 50%. Okay, where to get a 50%? You know, go to slide 15. It has 50% completion for the 100 units left in the ending WIP. So finally, I have 50 units. So now my question is how many total, total equivalent units. So in this case, I add a 400 to 100, I get 500. For the one here, I have 400 plus 50, which is 450 here. Perfect. So that's step 1 and step 2. So step 3 is about the total cost. So I will look at the cost to account for. So the cost to account for is a pretty simple idea, because when you look at the cost to account for, we're looking at, okay, so where cost from? We have a cost from beginning WIP, sorry. And also we have a cost, I would say maybe, newly incurred or added. We have from two different places. And how to find these numbers? I would say pretty easy, right? If you look at, go back to the slide 15, we have 18,000 and 8,100 for the beginning WIP, and for the newly incurred cost, we have 19,800 and 16,380. So therefore, you can figure out total cost. So step 3 is pretty easy now. So you add all these costs. Okay. All right. So you get these costs in front of you. So now we're going to do the step 4. Do you remember what I told you? Step 4. Step 4 is step 3. Kind of step 3 divided by step 2. Okay. So you divide the total cost by total equivalent units. So we divide 37,800 by 500. So you get a $75.60. And for conversion cost, the unit cost is you divide 24,480 by 450. So you get a $54.40. Perfect. Perfect. So now we go to step 5. Step 5 is assignment of costs. So once again, there are different categories, right? You can see that. So first one is completed and transferred. Two categories: completed and transferred, and also you have ending WIP. So step 5 is practically you multiply step 4 by step 2, okay? But not total to total. We're looking at basically different groups. So for the C and T here, if you don't mind, I'm going to copy step 2 down here because otherwise it's kind of hard for me to go back and forth, confuse you with numbers. So I'm going to copy units to account for these numbers down here. Okay. All right. So these numbers are what I need. So I'm going to label them, because they are kind of my scratch paper. All right, scratch paper. So I'm going to make it, a little bit like this. So these are scratch paper work. Okay, so perfect. So now I'm going to use these numbers. So first of all, I'm going to find the C and T. So for C and T, for direct materials, so if you guys cannot see these columns, I put a DM here and a conversion. Okay. So for the DM, I have to multiply the unit cost $75.60 by 400 equivalent units. Okay. Oh, sorry. I think I should go to the next cell. I multiply $75.60 by 400. Okay. I get this number. And then I'm going to apply to the conversion. So I multiply $54.04 by 400. Okay. Then for the ending WIP, let me apply $75.60 by 100. Okay. The ending WIP, physical units. Here we go. For the conversion cost, I'm going to multiply $54.40 by 50. Perfect. So I get this number. Okay. So therefore, you can go ahead find the total cost. So in this case, we can add these numbers. Get a 52,000. Okay. And for this one, I will add these two numbers, which is the 7,560 plus 2,720. I get 10,280. So let me kind of tell you where these numbers will go. For 52,000, it's going to be from WIP to another WIP. It's going to happen, basically when you transfer the 400 units from assembling department to the testing department. So the WIP assembly department will get a credit. Then the WIP or testing department will get a debit. So you will see the 52,000, the debit and credit, okay, in that journal transaction, journal entry. If you take a look at this 10,280, it will go to your asset, which is the balance sheet, okay, balance sheet account. Okay. So now we have completed all the this weighted average method. So I hope you enjoyed this video and get a pretty good idea of this weighted average. So next video we'll talk about FIFO. Okay, talk about FIFO. I'm gonna post all these Excel worksheets online. So thank you for watching.